Morning, welcome to the Business Owners Podcast with me and Gail. And today we've got a really special guest. We've got someone who's didn't really start off their career as they were going to start their own business, but the way that life can weave. We've got Tricia Hamilton with us this morning. Tricia, good morning.
Good morning.
Tricia, thank you for joining us. And as I was just saying in the intro there, it's been a bit of a weave to where you are today, but you've certainly come to business later in life. And you are a hat maker. You're also a hat historian, probably the only hat historian in the world. And you've got some great stories. And I know Gail wants to ask some questions as well. But I will just dive straight in there. And my sort of first question is all about hats. How did you get into hats, and how did you start this great business with this hat that you actually patented as well? And I'll ask more about that, but tell me about that.
Well, I've always loved hats, and I've made hats all through my life. Because I was quite academic, I went into teaching and loved it. I love working with children. And while I was doing that, when there was a stage production, I always made the hats. It's like, just send all the materials to Tricia and she'll create something overnight, and they could wear it on their heads, which they loved. So for me, working with children was wonderful. And it was only when my daughter wanted a hat made after she'd finished university, and she couldn't get a match with her outfit. And we went everywhere, we trailed around the shops, and then she announced that I would make a hat for her. So I did, and I thought, well, I really like this. And at the time I was also making lace. So I combined the lace into the hats and made quite a few bridal pieces for friends of friends. And then thought, well, I think I'm going to carry on with this because I love the creative idea. So I started my business.
And within starting your business, which was a few years ago, but equally a particular hat that you made, you actually went through a patent process. And a lot of business owners, they sort of think, oh, should I be protecting what I do? So just talk us through the hat and actually the process you had to go through in terms of getting that patent.
Yes, well, I didn't sit in my studio and think, I'll patent a hat. That's not how it works. I had a call from the hospice that was carrying my hats, and a customer had bought a merino wool hat. She was a chemo patient and asked if she could wash the hat. Well, I sent an immediate answer, no, because if you wash wool hats, any wool hats, it turns into a ball of mush. And I said, don't worry, I will make a washable lining. So I made a lining, but it was rather like a sort of fabric football with lots and lots of seams, and it looked so ugly. I thought, well, I can't send this to this customer. It's just not good enough. She needed something with no seams in it, or less seams. So I worked on it for about 6 weeks, drawing it, making samples, and I ended up with one seam in the whole hat, and it's called an O hat. And when I showed it to a networking colleague, because every time you put it on, it changes shape. It's made of a very soft bamboo. He said, don't show anybody. And this was like, I'm so excited. I just finished it and I really want to show everybody. He said, don't show anybody. You've got to protect the idea. And I asked at the patent office, and they said, no, categorically, you cannot patent a hat. So I went to all the other things that I could do. None of them achieved the goal that I wanted. And I came back to the patent office. I talked to 3 IP solicitors. They all said, yes, you can, because they saw the idea. And one of them took me through the steps of what I had to do and what he would do. Because you can patent yourself, but it's rather like the conveyance of a house. You can do that yourself, but it's full of holes and you might as well not bother. So I went through the process with the solicitor. He let me do some things which took the cost down a little bit. And once I got to patent pending, which means I had a patent number, I could show everybody.
Wow, I mean that's fantastic. But again, I mean, interesting there that the sort of patent office said no, and then it sounds like you were very determined, and obviously you got there. So no, fantastic. I mean, what a great story. And again, that's a really great thing for business owners. Now, I know that Gail's got some questions for you as well, so I'm just going to pass on to Gail, and you can go from there. So Gail, over to you.
So Tricia, tell me, as the only hat historian in the UK, what does that entail? So what's your day-to-day as a hat historian, please?
Well, it's all things hats. For me, I thought I was going to be working with hat designers and people that make hats, which I do. But the lockdown we've just had has meant that it's opened up not just UK, because I was just starting to visit designers all over the UK. Of course, all of that stopped, and it meant that we did it online. But that model has actually meant that it's opened up the world, because I can visit, go and talk to designers in Mexico and Canada in the same week, and London. So I'm working with a lot of different people. So I interview people, coming back to my daily routine. I interview people. It only takes 45 minutes to an hour of their time, which is brilliant. They haven't got to devote a whole day to filming. And then I will write an article from the interview. Nearly all the articles that I've written, they go to the person who I've written about, and sometimes it brings them to tears. Not from they're not upset, but they say you captured me, and for me that's the essence of what I'm trying to do, to share with my audience what is inside people that drives them. And it's not just the design. As I said, I thought it was going to be designers, but actually it's hats touch everybody. And in the last issue, I interviewed a racing driver, and John Meal, and he raced Mini Megway. And I didn't even think about hats being in that world, but they are. I mean, they're worn as branding. You've got the winners racing hats, you've got the team hats, the support team, and the fans. So for me, it's gone into such a big area that I hadn't even anticipated.
Oh, that's brilliant. Sounds exciting. I want to join. Love hats. So yes, you have to design me one. So I shall be in touch. My next question is, and I hope you don't mind me saying, obviously being a mature lady starting in business, I myself, in that bracket, what advice would you give to, people starting out a new goal later in life? What advice? I mean, in my mind, you're never too old, but there will be people out there that just, want to start a business later on in life. What advice would you give them?
I think I would keep it quite small, because you want to be niche. If you try and do something that is too big, you can't achieve it. I know for me it's later in life. I never expected to even start a business, but working with the best people that you can is key. Not trying to do everything yourself. But what it's meant is that all my creative ideas have been channeled, whereas before they would be like a maelstrom of ideas and not landing. We all have ideas, and most of them don't land, but some of them do. And I would say, just take it one step at a time. Don't try and do more than you want to, and do the bits, because if you're a little bit older, do the bits that you love, and share out other things that you don't like to do.
Perfect. Great advice. Thank you very much.
That's lovely. And Tricia, you know, it's been a privilege to have you on the show with me and Gail. And I think, you know, I've really picked out 2 or 3 things there, you know, particularly going through your patent journey is going through that is how important it is to protect as a business, protect your ideas that you put down. And also I think the what you were just saying to Gail there near the end was, you know, you're never too old, but it's also just being realistic. And when you've got those ideas, is get a really good team around you. And that team doesn't have to be building your own empire of staff. It's just getting the right advice and the right people there. So, you know, sharing that has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great, a real great insightful. So thank you for joining us, Tricia, and it's been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.